The minerals found in kelp are about 23 times higher than those in milk. I'm going to share the secret to making delicious miso soup. Today, I'm going to show you a delicious miso soup that even vegans can enjoy. The key point of this miso soup is the broth. The broth, which brings out the umami in Japanese cuisine, is usually made with a balance of kombu, kelp, and bonito flakes. But actually, you can make a deep and gentle broth just by using dried shiitake mushrooms and kombu. And this method is super easy. There are no difficult techniques involved at all. Of course, it's perfect for vegans, but it's also a gentle flavor that everyone can enjoy, from babies to the elderly. And since you can make it ahead of time, your morning prep becomes much easier. These ingredients are also really good for your health and nutrition. First, I'll explain about kombu and dried shiitake mushrooms, and then I'll show you how to make the miso soup. So, if you want to jump straight to the recipe, please use the timestamp in the description to skip ahead. First, let's talk about the nutrition in kombu. The unique slimy substance that comes out when you boil kombu is made up of water-soluble dietary fibers unique to seaweed, such as alginic acid and fucoidan. Kombu contains a lot of these, making up about 10% of its dry weight. They help suppress the absorption of carbohydrates and fats, which in turn helps prevent an increase in cholesterol levels. Fucoidan's ability to boost immunity from the gut is also gaining attention. Minerals such as calcium, iron, sodium, potassium, and iodine are essential nutrients that help build body tissues and regulate bodily functions. For example, the minerals found in kelp are about 23 times higher than those in milk. Calcium is about 7 times higher, and iron is about 39 times higher. It is said that the composition of human blood and lymph is similar to that of seawater. Kelp, which grows in the sea, absorbs minerals from the ocean, but has the characteristic of not absorbing much of what is harmful to humans. Because of this, the minerals in kelp are said to be absorbed by the body at a much higher rate than those in other foods, with about 80% being taken up by the body. Iodine helps to activate metabolism in the body, but overeating it can cause thyroid dysfunction. However, eating a normal amount poses absolutely no problem. Fucoxanthin, a pigment found in seaweed, is a brown pigment component that helps suppress fat accumulation. It also has a dual effect by increasing the activity of proteins that burn stored body fat. It is said to mainly target and act on visceral fat, lower elevated blood sugar levels, and promote the use of sugar in muscles. Kombu is rich in glutamic acid, which is an umami component. Without being overpowering, it enhances the flavor of vegetable dishes and makes them more delicious. Even in Japanese shojin ryori, the traditional Buddhist vegetarian cuisine created for monks observing religious precepts, kombu broth has been used since ancient times. Because umami makes food taste better even at lower salt concentrations, you can enjoy delicious meals while reducing salt. Additionally, glutamic acid acts on sensors in the stomach to improve digestive function and helps prevent overeating. Dried shiitake mushrooms are rich in vitamin D. When rehydrated, these nutrients dissolve into the water. Dried shiitake mushrooms contain about 11 times more vitamin D than fresh shiitake mushrooms before drying. It is expected to help with muscle movement and protect the body from osteoporosis. Dried shiitake mushrooms also contain a savory component called guanylate acid. The most important part of miso soup is the broth, and the savory component in dried shiitake mushrooms, guanylate acid, is a nucleic acid-based umami, just like the inosinic acid found in bonito flakes. So even for vegans who can't use bonito flakes, by using dried shiitake mushrooms instead, you can combine them with the glutamic acid in kelp to make a very flavorful broth. Dried shiitake mushrooms contain about 11 times more vitamin D compared to fresh shiitake mushrooms before drying. Vitamin D can help with muscle function and is expected to protect the body from osteoporosis. Now, let's get started. First, pour 650 milliliters of water into a pot. Next, add 2 dried shiitake mushrooms and a 10 centimeter square piece of kombu directly into the pot. Then, leave the pot as it is overnight. It's also fine to store it in the refrigerator. This waiting time is very important for making a delicious broth. By leaving it overnight, the umami from the shiitake mushrooms and kombu slowly dissolves into the water. After it has sat overnight, start heating it up. Warm it slowly over low heat. The important thing here is to make sure it never comes to a boil. If you let it boil, the delicate flavor of the dashi will be lost. Once you start heating, you'll see small bubbles forming in the pot. That's your cue. When the kombu starts to float up a bit from the edge of the pot, or you see small bubbles gently rising, that's the sign it's almost time to turn off the heat. Now, remove the kombu and dried shiitake mushrooms. By doing this, the dashi will have just the right strength. And with that, the miso soup dashi is ready. Of course, you can use this not just for miso soup, but for other dishes as well. Next, add your favorite vegetables or tofu. Carrots, daikon, spinach, pretty much anything works. Cut the vegetables into bite-sized pieces beforehand. Once you've added the ingredients, turn the heat back on. Let it cook until the ingredients are heated through. Once you've confirmed the ingredients are cooked, turn off the heat for now. This next step is really important. I'm going to share the secret to making delicious miso soup. After adding the miso, you must not let the soup boil. If you let it boil, all the aroma and flavor of the miso will disappear. That's why you should turn off the heat or lower it to a gentle simmer before adding the miso. Instead of dumping the miso straight into the pot, use a ladle or a strainer to slowly dissolve it as you add it. Place the miso on a ladle and gently break it up in the broth. Once the miso starts to dissolve, add a little more. Repeat this process. By doing this, the miso will dissolve evenly and you won't have any lumps left. Plus, the aroma of the miso will be nicely preserved. Once all the miso has dissolved, put it back on low heat. Be careful not to let it boil at this stage either. Just reheat it gently over low heat for a short time, and that's enough. And with that, it's done. Vegan miso soup has a deep flavor, even though it doesn't use any animal products at all. That's thanks to the umami from dried shiitake mushrooms and kombu. You can also make this recipe ahead of time. If you prepare the broth in advance, all you have to do in the morning is add the ingredients and dissolve the miso. Even on busy mornings, you can easily make delicious miso soup. Of course, you can also use this broth in other dishes to add extra umami. The key this time is to let the broth sit overnight and wait for the umami to dissolve into the water. Always dissolve the miso with a ladle as you add it in. And after adding the miso, don't let it come to a boil. By just following these simple tips, anyone can make truly delicious and gentle vegan miso soup. Thank you again for watching this video. If you try this recipe, please let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And please support me by subscribing to the channel. See you again in the next video.